Heather, one of the things when Mark was alluding earlier to you turn on the media and so much of political media teaches us how to be divided, I want to expand the frame actually beyond just like political news media to the larger frame of culture. Right? So much of what Rock the Vote does, for those of you who don't know, is to enlist great makers and voices from popular culture. Celebrities, movie stars, musicians, art makers of all kinds, right? What have you learned over your time at Rock the Vote about the ways in which culture makers can change the culture of citizenship? Kind of artistic culture makers can have this influence.
Yeah, it's interesting. What we try to do is take what you're doing one-on-one and actually model that behavior through popular culture to a much larger audience. And I'd say that using celebrities, musicians, artists in our work probably has two different benefits. The first is I go around the country, I speak to rooms filled with young people. I was telling Eric earlier, it's quite refreshing to look out and not see a face that I'm twice the age of. And when I talk, it's almost like their parents talking, right? I can tell them to go vote, I can tell them why that matters, and they kind of roll their eyes. If I name drop a little bit, oh, well, this morning, for example, I was just having a conversation with, we'll give you a real one, Chris Novoselic, who was the bass player in Nirvana. We were talking about the Voting Rights Act, and he was telling me this, and all of a sudden the room kind of perks up, right? And then if I bring an artist into the classroom with me, then it's suddenly voting is the coolest thing that's ever happened, and it's the best day of their lives, and I get thank you notes for the next 3 months about how I've changed their world. And it is true. They can grab attention of an audience that's not naturally political, that's not inclined to think about these issues, and get them to not only pay attention, but really change how they think about that question. And that's the bigger thing as well. So instead of just getting their attention, it changes the norm around what it means to vote, what it means to be a citizen. It's like a giant marketing campaign.
But then you do something very powerful with that attention once you have it, right? I mean,
it is true. We try to change what it means and model this behavior nationally. And I'll give you a really interesting example. So obviously Prop 8 yesterday with gay marriage. 10 years ago, this was not something that was very favorable. But we've been working with artists to talk about the issues. We've been working with television shows to write this stuff into their scripts. We've been bringing artists in the classrooms to talk about it. We have musicians writing it into their lyrics. And 10 years later, the numbers have flipped. And in fact, as we're passing the Supreme Court thing yesterday, I went back to some HRC statistics, which are 8 in 10 Americans right now claim that they know somebody who is gay. When you ask them who that is, the majority list a television character.
Wow. That's either a hopeful sign or a very distressing sign.
And it changed their opinion. And then yesterday with the gay marriage thing, the #1 most passed around piece of media on the internet was a quote from Macklemore and Ryan in their Same Love song, which again, it's just the power of culture to influence how people see these issues, and it makes them want to get involved.